Hi everyone, I'm Holly and I'm an adult services librarian at Westmont Public Library. And today I am joined by local author Keziah Frost to talk about her latest novel, Getting Rid of Mabel. Keziah was a 2019 semi-finalist in the soon-to-be famous Illinois Author Project for Getting Rid of Mabel. So congratulations, Keziah, on that.
Thank you.
And then also I just wanted to quickly mention her first novel, The Reluctant Fortune Teller. And so we actually are introduced to the characters that we see in Getting Rid of Mabel in her first novel. So welcome, Keziah, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Of course, yes. And so I don't know if anybody knows, but we were actually supposed to have you in the library in March, and then everything got shut down. So we had to delay it a little bit, but we finally made it. So here we are.
Yay, here we are.
All right, so if we want to just get started, I can just start throwing the questions out at you.
This is great. This is such a privilege to be here, and I just love libraries, and this is just the cat's meow. It's the best that could be, just talking to you.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you. I'm finally happy to talk to you. All right, so let's get started. So I'll just kind of ask you some questions about your book and about kind of your writing process. So let's just get going. So in your new book, Getting Rid of Mabel, we continue to follow the characters that we met in The Reluctant Fortune Teller. So could you just give us a brief synopsis of your new book?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Well, it picks up, as you said, it's the sequel to the first one, The Reluctant Fortune Teller, but you don't have to read The Reluctant Fortune Teller to read Getting Rid of Mabel. They are independent of each other. And so in Getting Rid of Mabel, this is a story of Carlotta's Club. So if you're interested in reading what came before it, Carlotta's Club obviously comes in The Reluctant Fortune Teller. This book is told from Carlotta's point of view, whereas The Reluctant Fortune Teller is told from Norbert's point of view. So you have the same world, the same characters. So Carlotta is a very managerial, shall we say, kind of person. She's very much in charge of every group she's ever joined. She has been leading the same group for about 45 or 50 years. And now there are only about 3 or 4 members because some people couldn't tolerate her bossy ways, and so they left. But the reason that she still has some people in her group is that she always comes up with something really fascinating to do. She always has a new idea. And so the people that follow her still are Margaret and Bertie. They are big fans of hers because she keeps their lives lively and interesting. Well, a stranger comes into town. So Tolstoy once said that every story is about one of 2 things. It's either a person goes on a journey or a stranger comes to town. In this case, it's the stranger who comes to town. Mabel comes, and it turns out that she is a double or a dead ringer for one of the club members. And this turns everything upside down once they get to know this person, and she becomes fascinating. And what is Carlotta going to do about that? And in the meantime, Carlotta's niece adopts, or rather she fosters, a child with behavior problems. And so all of these seniors, and I should also hasten to say, most of the characters in the book are in their 70s and 80s. So these people who are older and very active and very interesting and very funny, I hope, are also having to get used to this 9-year-old who's kind of turning their world upside down. So they have on both sides, everything's going haywire and becoming very different from what they are used to. And so that's kind of the premise of where it goes, and it's about how people can grow and change at any age, and I hope it's also very funny throughout.
It is. I think it's funny. I really liked it. I really enjoyed The Reluctant Fortune Teller as well. It made me go out and buy a deck of cards.
That's good. Yeah, because in the back of The Reluctant Fortune Teller, you have a fortune telling guide. So
Yes.
You can buy like a regular playing deck of cards, and then you can tell fortunes at your book club.
Yep. I definitely did that for myself. So,
That's
and
great.
I got a pretty good fortune, so I like it.
Good.
So speaking of Carlotta, Carlotta definitely is a character. So both Carlotta and Mabel have very strong personalities. Do you find inspiration from anyone in your life when writing these characters, or really any characters that you write? Do you base them off of anyone that you know in real life?
You know, I think they're probably composites of people that I've known in real life. I did think a lot about my grandmother when I was writing Carlotta, especially. And well, really all of the women, I was thinking of her. And, you know, maybe Carlotta could be the shadow side of a lot of people. She could probably be my own shadow side, although I probably should not admit that because nobody wants to be like Carlotta. But, you know, she has that tendency to, she does have lots of ideas. She's very creative. She's very fun, but at the same time, she needs to be in charge of everything. And she has her faults. The reader will find out. Yeah.
Yes, yes, she does. Sometimes she just needs to chill out a little bit, I
Yes.
think.
She's
But
intense.
I definitely appreciate her, though. You do have to appreciate those people. So, so beyond characters, what about your ideas for your stories? Where do you get those?
You know, the ideas just come. And Flannery O'Connor is a writer that I really love, a Southern writer. And she said that anyone who has survived childhood has a lifetime of ideas to write about. And really, I think when I write, I will go back to childhood memories, probably because those are very vivid. Everything is sharp, everything is new, everything is confusing or interesting. You're curious about everything. And so those memories really stand out. And I think when you go to that creative part of your mind, you just tend to naturally pull up from your childhood some images. That's where a lot of ideas come from, I think. And just stories that you hear people tell, conversations you overhear at the next table. Yeah.
Those are always fun. I know
Yeah.
there's is it an Instagram page or some page with like overheard, and it's the most random comments whatsoever. But I can imagine that you definitely get some good ideas out of that.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, actually, there is a little joke in there that one character tells another in Getting Rid of Mabel. And I did overhear that outside at a restaurant. The tables were outside, and somebody made a comment that I thought was hilarious in a completely different context, and I was
Yeah,
able to use it in the book. Yeah.
that's great. Now people might be careful about what they're saying.
Yeah,
So
watch out.
yeah.
You could be
And
quoted and never know it.
right, yeah. It's anonymous, as long as it's anonymous, right?
Right.
So when writing, do you have kind of everything all mapped out, or do things come to you as you go along? Kind of how does your process work?
Well, I think sometimes I think about a character and it starts with that. I'll think about this would be a funny character. Sometimes I'll think about a situation and I'll go with that. But what you need to start out with is those two elements. You need to start with an interesting character in an interesting situation and put them together and then start going from there. Actually, it was one of my daughters who gave me the idea for the first book I wrote, The Reluctant Fortune Teller. I was writing different stories and she was reading them and commenting on them. And she said to me, why don't you write a story about a fortune teller who doesn't believe in the fortunes and yet they keep on coming true? And to me, that sounded like absolutely perfect. You've got an interesting character, an interesting situation. What can you make out of that? So anyway, you said, what was your question again?
Like how do you write the story? Is
How do you
it
write
so
the
when
story?
you come up with an idea, is it all mapped out beforehand, or?
I got a little carried away there on
Oh,
the tangent.
don't we all?
Yeah. So I do kind of map it out, but I'm also taking detours all the time. That's where the fun is. As they say, and I don't remember exactly who said it, but no surprise in the writer, no surprise in the reader. So you want to surprise yourself too. So as I'm writing, very often something will pop into my head, or a line will come into my mind, or a character will suggest themselves, and I'll just go with it and wind up going down a road that I never expected to. So the answer to your question is both.
Yeah.
I said both.
No, that definitely makes sense. I feel like even life is kind of like that. You know, you can't really have everything mapped out. You have an idea, but then something comes along and detours you, and there we are.
You're right. It's very much like taking a trip, isn't it? You know, you want to plan a trip, but you don't want to know every single thing you're going to do, every step you're going to take. You want to have a general idea, you know, what city you're going to and a couple of things. But yeah, you want to have some surprises.
Yeah, I don't think Carlotta likes those very much, but I enjoy them.
Yeah, if she surprises other people, that's okay. She's got to be in control.
That's true. And so what were some of the toughest and easiest parts of writing Getting Rid of Mabel?
Getting Rid of Mabel was very easy for me to write, I have to say, because I already had the whole world from the first book, and I already knew the characters, and I knew the kinds of things that they would do. And it was just fun all the way. I really had a good time with it. And the hardest part for me is always editing, because it's very hard, I find, to be objective and see what needs to be taken out. I really need objective people to look at it for me and give me their comments. So of course, I always have people read the manuscript. After I finish a rough draft, I have some very kind people in my life who are willing to read the book and tell me honestly, what did they think? What did they like? What needs to go? And I will listen to them, and I will make a lot of changes before I send it to my agent. And then she will have changes that she wants to see too before she submits it to a publisher.
Okay, so it's definitely a process then to kind of get through.
Yeah, but editing for me is, and I've heard writers say the opposite. Writing is hard for them and editing is easy. At least you have something to work on. But for me, the writing is fun. It just pours out, and then trying to figure out how to edit it, I find it very difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially, I mean, since it's your own work, there might be parts where you don't want to get rid of that. It's important to you, but somebody else reads it and they're like, oh no, that doesn't need to be in there.
Yes. Oh, that doesn't need to be in there. Yeah, that breaks your heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely imagine that. So this is kind of a two-part question. It could be the same answer. Do you have a favorite character, and do you have a favorite character to write?
You cut out a little bit there. A favorite.
Oh, sorry. Do you have a favorite character to read about, a favorite of your own, and then do you have a favorite character to write about? And it could be the same character, it could be different.
Well, Carlotta, actually. I mean, Carlotta is really fun for me to write about. She writes herself. I don't know how it is, but I feel like I really know that character somehow. And it's almost like she's in my head talking. I know that sounds so strange, but it really is true. And I will hear her make jokes that I would never make, or I'll hear her make a sarcastic remark, and I would never think to say anything like that. And I think, oh, and I'm appreciating and I'm laughing out loud as if someone else said it. It sounds really crazy, but it's really true. And then you're asking about characters that I like to read about from other authors?
No, from Getting Rid of Mabel. So is like, as a reader, would Carlotta be your favorite character if you weren't the author of it?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, because I think she's so funny, and I really appreciate books that can make me laugh. But I've heard some people say that they really wanted her to get her comeuppance, and they really wanted her to, not be able to win all the time. And they liked some of the other characters that were more gentle, more kind, more evolved. So not all readers are going to think that Carlotta is the best character.
Yeah, she is a character, let me say that. She's kind of one of those that I feel like you love to hate, maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I remember when The Office was a new show on TV, and Michael Scott was being interviewed, the character who plays Michael Scott, and he said, "Well, it's such an easy character to play because everyone knows a Michael Scott, or if you don't know a Michael Scott, you are Michael Scott."
Yeah.
And I think the same thing is true of Carlotta. If you don't know a Carlotta, that's probably because you are Carlotta.
Yeah. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I also do love Michael Scott too. He's one of my favorite characters.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, he is. Yeah,
how can you just not laugh? It's just, you can't.
exactly. Yeah.
But well, speaking of other authors and other characters, what do you enjoy reading yourself, and some other characters maybe that you enjoy?
Yeah. Oh boy, I read all the time. I'm looking up here at my shelves to remind myself of some of my favorite books. Well, I do like psychological thrillers, and I also like humorous books, smart humorous books. And some psychological thrillers that I like are, well, everything by Daphne du Maurier, Rebecca and Jamaica Inn, My Cousin Rachel, everything that she wrote. And also some of the psychological thrillers that are coming out lately. There's a good one called Lying in Wait by Liz Nugent. None of these books that I've mentioned are funny at all. They're very different from the books that I've written. But I think what's similar between psychological thrillers and humorous books is that element of surprise, and that intrigue and that surprise. Yeah. Humorous books that I've liked, well, The Rosie Project. I think that's a great book. And that long title, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night. That's another good one. A Man Called Uwe.
Oh,
That
nice.
is, yeah, I love that book. There's another one, The Diary, I think it's called The Diary of Hendrik Groen, or something like that. The diary, he's something like 83 3/4 years old or something like that. And he's living in an assisted living facility and keeping a diary, and it's a Dutch book.
Okay.
Hilarious. It's very funny. And a lot of the humor that I read actually comes from Britain in the 1930s. So P.G. Wodehouse, hilarious, really. P.G. Wodehouse is a great writer. There was a book written in the 30s called Cold Comfort Farm by Stella Gibbons. That was really funny, in my opinion. And, a beautiful book. And a movie was made of it, too. Probably most people have seen this one. The Enchanted April. That was written in the 1930s. And it's funny, and it's about human nature also.
Okay.
So those are some of my favorites.
So nice. That's a nice variety.
Yeah.
All right, so back to Carlotta, since we did first see her in The Reluctant Fortune Teller, and now we have her in Getting Rid of Mabel. Can we expect to see more of her and her club in a future novel?
Well, that's interesting. I would love to write about her. I really would. I enjoy her very much, and I might. But as you asked, where do ideas come from? I have so many ideas and so many other things. So I think I'd like to write about some other worlds. Now, I do have a book in the hands of my agent right now, and she's got it out on submission. And this one is more of a psychological thriller. And then also what I'm working on right now is another humorous book about another character, another whole other world. So that's what I'm working on now. But yes, Carlotta could come back someday.
Okay. So you heard it here first, everyone. There is something in the works. Maybe not Carlotta, but there's something in the works.
Oh, always, yeah.
And what do you hope for readers to take away from your writing?
I hope for readers to take away a sense of love and peace and cheerfulness. The best things I've ever read about my books, when I look on, because I do look actually on Goodreads and Amazon to see what people have said about my books. I think every author does.
Yeah.
when some will, or sometimes they've even emailed me to say, this book got me through a really hard time. They'll say that they were going through an illness or some other kind of very difficult moment in their life, some kind of grief, and that reading the book gave them a sense of optimism or a sense of escape or relaxation. To me, that is what I hope people will take away. I think the books are about kindness, ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carlotta might not be the kindest character you ever read about, but the books are about kindness, and I think that that's what I hope people will get from it, is a sense of, yeah, optimism, kindness, cheerfulness, healing.
Yeah, they definitely both made me smile and laugh all along. So
That is wonderful.
you
Thank you.
succeeded. You succeeded with me anyway.
Oh, that's really, really wonderful to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. And like I said, I bought a deck of cards. So, and so if nobody knows what I'm talking about, go read The Reluctant Fortune Teller. And so can you just give us a couple of quick sentences on why you think everyone should read Getting Rid of Mabel?
Well, I think that if you are interested in human nature and you like to laugh at our foibles and weaknesses, and you just enjoy a good story about people, I think you should read it, because I think it'll probably make you laugh. That's my hope.
Yeah, like I said, it definitely made me laugh. So I agree. I think everyone should read it as well. And like I said, everyone should read The Reluctant Fortune Teller. Just a little quick, it's not even a really synopsis, but just a quick sentence. It's just kind of about getting a second chance at life, doing something that you maybe never would have thought of doing. I think that's a really good way to put it. You can find both of those novels at Westmont Public Library. And I'm going to go ahead and put the link to our catalog in the description of this video, so you can request to place a hold on them. So happy reading with those. I expect a ton of holds to come through for those. And I just want to give a big thank you again to Keziah for talking with me today and kind of bearing with me as we changed and transitioned to online everything, since we couldn't have you in March.
No, thank you. I am so delighted to be here, and whenever we are able to meet in person, I would love to come in person. And until then, I'm very happy to meet on Zoom. This works.
All right. Well, thank you again. And check out more of our YouTube videos. If you enjoyed this, you can subscribe. You can also check out our Facebook, check us out on Instagram. And I hope everyone has a great day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.